I landed the dream job with Vogue magazine, and one of the doctors was so miraculous. And he said to me, "Are you happy?"
Yeah.
And I burst into tears, and I was like, I am so stressed. I don't even know what calm is. I don't know what inner peace is. I don't know what love is for myself.
Hey friends, welcome to Keep It Simple Sexy. I'm Christine Bullock, founder of KO Body Care, certified fitness trainer and mom of 2 little girls who's just trying to juggle it all and feel as good as possible. I'm so grateful that you're here. Now let's get started, sexy. Hello everyone, welcome back to Keep It Simple Sexy. I'm your host, Christine Bullock. I hope you're doing well today. Today's guest is the ultimate testament to taking your health by the bajangas, turning a negative diagnosis around and continuing to stay in the best of health. Elissa Goodman was diagnosed with cancer when she was only 32 years old, after which she also discovered hypothyroidism, Hashimotos, and celiac disease. And unfortunately, I hear these diagnoses more and more common in younger women. But she took her health into her own hands, learned the A to Z of what really works in wellness, and took an alternative route to heal herself. Then after finding a passion for wellness, Elissa decided it was time to take her health more seriously and became an integrative holistic nutritionist, where she now has been able to help thousands of clients manage their health issues too. She not only has a book called Cancer Hacks, but has created her own delivery soup cleanse in Los Angeles and her digital 7-day reset cleanse, along with her famous super seed bars. Yum. So get ready for some major easy tips to radically update your wellness program for the long haul. Welcome to the show, Elissa.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here.
Oh, I'm so honored to have you
you
here. First of all, fellow, Los Angeles, but also your name has traveled for so many years too, with such expertise in the business. So thank you for joining us.
Well, it's not work when you love what you do and you find your passion. And I got so lucky. At 50 years old, I was like, okay, what am I going to do with my life after my husband passed away from cancer? And I just got lucky. This has been the incredible journey.
I really had no idea about your bio, about the history that you went to that really led you to this until recently. And I have known, what you've done and what you do for so long. And it's just like, God bless you. I mean, you really have just taken such a journey and just turned it into such a light to help people. It's really amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm
such a beautiful smile on your face. Yeah. It's a good obsession to have. This is the kind of obsession. My dad always said growing up when I was like in high school, and I hated when he said this, but he would say, good habits, bad habits. And now, and for whatever reason, it always made me cringe back then because probably I had a lot of bad habits. But I'm like, okay, now I get it, because we're going to have these habits. We're going to have, this passion or obsessions a little bit. But it's like, as long as they're healthy for us, then that's the perfect way to have it.
I know. And we're allowed to have few unhealthy ones too, right?
Yeah, true. See, I love it.
Can't be perfect.
I just found some Pez in my drawer for my kids. So I was like, okay, I'll leave them for later. Well, I always love to take a step backwards, first of all. So they've heard just a little glimpse of your story, but I really do want you to share, because I feel like so many people can relate. And truly, I've just recently met 2 women in their 30s who were diagnosed with cancer. And so I really do hear this more and more, let alone all of the other diagnoses that you even hear in my intro here. But can we just hear a bit too about your former lifestyle that you had before you were, impassioned to really focus in on your health, and prior to the diagnosis that might have led to the diagnosis as well?
It was interesting because a lot of people can relate to this. I would say most of my life, I was born with a low white blood cell count. So my immune system was a bit compromised, and I was always getting sick all the time. And if I didn't get a good night's sleep, I was sick the next day, one of those tonsillitis, strep throat, mono, just chicken pox, everything that came down the pike. I was always sick. And then I was labeled a sick kid. So it just got into my mental, subconscious. I was always going to be sick. I was never going to feel well. I was never going to have the energy other people had. I had these two parents that were very successful. They ran circles around me, and I was this young adult supposed to be running circles around them. So I was always overcompensating, because I had mental fog. I didn't have the energy. So sugar was a big thing, caffeine. I overdid everything. And so it emotionally and spiritually, like, totally destroyed my psyche, because I was just like, I was so stressed. I lived in fight or flight mode continually. And I still, I grew up in Arizona, which is a little slow pace. And I moved to New York and worked in the advertising business and was crazy fast paced and late nights and lots of, entertaining and again, overdoing it. And I said to my husband, who's from New York, I said, I just want to move someplace where it's slower and sunshine, because I was from the West Coast. And so we moved to California, and I landed a dream job with Vogue magazine. And 6 months in, I got diagnosed with cancer. So it was really wild, because it was a diagnosis that I wasn't sick, but a masseuse was massaging my neck and shoulder blades and felt a lymph node on my shoulder blade. Said, you really need to get that checked out. So thank God for her.
Yeah.
I did. And then went to 3 doctors. They all, 2 of them wanted to do chemo, radiation, freeze my eggs, because I hadn't had kids yet. And one of the doctors was so miraculous, and I thank him all the time. He was an oncologist radiologist, and he said to me, are you happy? Do you love your life? Are you, do you love what you do for a living? All these things that nobody asks. Yeah. And I burst into tears, and I was like, I am so stressed. I don't even know what calm is. I don't know what inner peace is. I don't know what love is for myself, because I was just always
running to the next thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And he said, we can take care of this, a lot of it, but we need to help your emotional well-being. And I was like, that was 30 years ago.
What a doctor.
I know. I wish more doctors did that today. That's what I do with my clients, because I know, one of my favorite
starts there.
Yeah. My favorite cancer book is called Radical Remission.
Uh-huh.
And she talks about the first 7 years of your life, your subconscious is fully downloaded. We all have some trauma. It doesn't have to be hardcore, but it could be a best friend slighting you, or, just some distrust happening. And then that goes into your subconscious.
Yeah.
And and
to add in for a second, because that was something I kind of got goosebumps, like how you were saying, like, it was in your psyche that you were a sick kid too. And even though, yes, there were things that we could have done to probably support that and assist and all that kind of stuff, I understand too, like, my mom always told me it took her so long to have me, fertility issues, yada, yada, yada. And I never realized that. I really thought, I led my way into that thinking, well, I'm going to have these issues.
Yes.
It wasn't something that scared me. It was just there. But we really do create those things in our life, and it very much begins there. And that's why I love this podcast too. It's everybody, basically, no matter what wellness area they're in, somewhat lead back to this, where, whether you're in fitness or nutrition or whatever, we're all like, please, though, the first things first. It's just so interior.
Yes. Your emotional stability. We don't know how to live in a parasympathetic nervous system. We're always in the sympathetic. The parasympathetics where you rest and digest and repair. I had no idea. And still up until, like, I'm 62, really at 58, I found that. And I was like, oh, thank God. But it's hard. Yeah. But yes, that is where it all, a lot of it starts. And then we start making bad decisions and choices, on our food and our sleep and, just all of those things. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So then when the doctor said this to you,
yes.
I mean, where did you go from here? Like, and were you going to jump into chemo? Were you going to jump into the treatments? What were the doctors recommending?
Chemo scared me just because of my, health history. So I did a little radiation. I did half the radiation that was recommended. I found a radiologist that would do half for me. My oncologist basically said, I can't treat you because you're not following my protocol. So it was a little bit scary.
Yeah.
My family was like, oh my God, what are you doing again, Elissa? Going down this path. I went into therapy. I started doing yoga. I started juicing. I became a vegan. I went to see a naturopath. LA is just a mecca.
Yeah.
I went to have colonics. I mean, you can just name it. I did.
Yeah,
Energy
been there, done
healers.
that.
And it's been that same way kind of, well,
Mhm.
not ever since, but a little bit. I dove in and then I got better. And the radiation was radiating my thyroid. So I'm sure I got the hypo from that. And then my thyroid shrunk and never really fully came back. And then I got Hashimotos after my first child. So, but I tried to stay healthy. And then I had
Yeah.
the two girls. And then 11 and a half years later, my husband's diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I had Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is so bizarre.
I cannot believe this. I know.
And then he did all of the Western 2 bone marrow transplants in a year and a half, which was really crazy. His immune system was so compromised. He died of fungal pneumonia at 45. And then I had two girls at home that were 10 and 7. And I was like, holy crap. Like, I'm a single parent. I might have to go back to work. I'm so stressed and tired again, from all of this. And a friend of mine just said, why don't you, try to get yourself together, like in terms of physically, and learn about nutrition. And I went to school and got certified in Eastern and Western and all kinds of trauma work and all kinds of supplement modalities. It was really fun. And I loved it.
I mean, what a friend too, though, to say that, like, that's the wisdom, because so many people, I don't know that they would be able to pick themselves out of a situation like that when it's like the second time around, so similar. You're like, what did I do? Right. And it takes such a strength to be able to pick yourself out of that, but also spin it into something so positive and say, I'm still going to take care of myself. Like, I'm going to take this even further at this point. And you got, when you're saying Eastern and Western medicine, your integrative holistic nutrition certification. I feel like we hear about this a lot, or people see it on the internet a lot too. Can you explain exactly what that certification is, kind of what you went through, how long it is too, and then what your expertise is because of that? I mean, there is a lot of studying that goes into afterwards too, but in general, why you chose that?
There wasn't a lot of programs at that time. So maybe it was 13 years ago. And there was a program here physically in Los Angeles. It was a 2-year program. I learned Ayurvedic, Chinese medicine. It was just so fabulous, very small group of people. So I just really did it for me and my girls. I did not want to become a nutritionist. I had no idea that this would happen. So I really wanted to just learn everything I could to make myself stronger and be able to persevere. And also to teach my girls that it didn't mean they were automatically going to get cancer because their parents had it, which is what happens a lot, or labeled that way. And they were definitely traumatized by his death and the fact that their parents had cancer. So it was 2 years long. It was fabulous. But what happened was I graduated, and a friend of mine brought Cafe Gratitude down from San Francisco.
Oh, cool.
And she said to me, I was in advertising marketing in the early days. And she said, will you put a cleanse together for us from Cafe Gratitude, the first one on Largemont? And I was like, sure. Like, that was so easy because their food was super organic and clean. And I handheld these cleansers for 4.5 years, almost 5 years. And I learned about all their ailments. And then I'd go to my functional integrative doctors that I loved, or even my GPs, and I would talk to them about them. Like, how do I help this person? I did it for M Cafe as well, the macrobiotic restaurant in LA. It was called a Reset.
These are two huge locations, or just very well known for anybody that doesn't know Los Angeles.
Yeah. I got really lucky. Like, they hired me.
That's amazing.
And I did one for 6 years and one for almost 4 years, almost 5 years. And then my clients were like, why don't you start your own program? So we're in our 8th year. The S.O.U.P cleanse is being delivered, 75 S.O.U.P cleansers every week in our 8th year. So, just one thing led to another. And I just started to feel so good. Like, I didn't feel good growing up. I didn't even feel good in my 30s or 40s. So now at 62, I feel better than I did, I have to say, at 30 or 32. Yeah. It's so wild.
It's so amazing. Isn't it crazy though? I mean, still just, in my 40s too, but I feel the same way where I'm like, I feel so much more energized and open and free now than I did in my 20s, 16-year-old. I mean, it's crazy to be able, it's a bit more balanced too, I guess you could say, right? In the sense of your health. Like, yeah, maybe I could do a all night bender and wake up and be totally fine. And I can't now, but it's
true.
totally different. I don't want to though, too. So yeah.
Right.
I want to back up just a little bit too, before we get to all of our tips that you have, because I'm sure you have so many, and talk a little bit about the hypothyroidism and the Hashimotos also, just because they are so similar. And I mean, it's like you said, you kind of had an autoimmune, going on, which so many also people have because of our stress levels, whether born with a white cell blood count or not. And it's just something that then always needs control. I have it myself as well. And so can you tell us a little bit? You told us exactly, things kind of can trigger it basically, but we can put them into remission.
Yeah.
And so along with, guide us, I guess, in the sense of, I'm sure it's very similar to, but in the sense of how you put some of these in remission and how you dealt with it.
I mean, it's kind of a fascinating,
how long it took too.
Yeah. It's a fascinating story because it took about 4 years to get diagnosed with it, which thank God these days it doesn't take that long, but in those days in my 30s, it took a long time because doctors weren't testing your thyroid or doing a full panel or even testing antibodies, right? So that's a new thing. Thank God for that. But when I would say 4 years ago, I met the medical medium. You know who he is.
Oh, yes.
And I actually ended up doing 2 sessions with him. And he was the one who spearheaded me into the fact that I could put this into remission and I could help my thyroid. And I went on a protocol. This is so fascinating with him. And I felt better in like 2 months. I went off my thyroid medication in 3 months. Probably wasn't the best idea, but I felt so good. And it felt like I was lowering my viral loads, my bacterial loads, fungal. I was lowering all my pathogen loads. And then also lowering inflammation in the body. He had this simple herbal protocol that I did. And I was like, oh my God, I feel amazing. And then I became part of his practitioner group for a year and a half. And so that kind of got me on the road. But what happened was, there's definitely, I know how to read a full thyroid panel. So I dove into what was really causing the thyroid to not function so well. And, there's a lot of factors like your ferritin is low and that's your iron storage. That's your gas pedal for your T3. I was on Synthroid, which is just T4. And when you have Hashimoto's, you can't convert T4 to T3, and T3 is really the important one. So there's all these things that I learned. You have to look at insulin and cortisol. And, I just was able to dive into all that. And right now I am on a supplement that I found about 3 years ago that has changed my life. Not all doctors like this, so I'll just preface. It's from New Zealand. It's a bovine cow supplement from the thyroid, and it's changed my life. But
I've actually heard of these before.
Yeah.
Not necessarily from New Zealand, but somebody is either that or I was on it for a short period of time as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somehow.
You could have.
At some point. Yeah.
I mean, I like Armor and, which helps with T3, T4, but so I did end up having to go back on some kind of support because my thyroid had shrunk and I couldn't get it back.
The Keep It Simple Sexy podcast is brought to you by KO Body Care. Right after I turned 30, something happened that I was not expecting. I noticed the skin on my body was aging faster than the skin on my face. Crepiness, sunspots, fine lines, and wrinkles, they all seemed to creep up overnight. And then it hit me. I'd been using all sorts of powerful anti-aging ingredients on my face, but I wasn't doing the same for the skin on my body. So that's when I had that aha moment to create KO Body Care. KO is face-grade body care, which means that it's pure and effective enough for the face, but formulated just for the body. We use the same ingredients as high-end clean skincare brands to help skin look smoother, brighter, firmer, and younger. The product that put us on the map was our Body Beautiful Cream. Beauty editors are obsessed with it because it combines clean, natural ingredients, omega oils, green tea, mangosteen, goji berry with clinical actives like hyaluronic acid and CoQ10. It leaves the skin feeling so hydrated, so smooth, so soft, and even gives your collagen production a boost. So are you ready to see what face grade body care can do for you? Then go to kobodycare.com. For our first time users, use the special code KISS20 for 20% off your purchase. Are you still, you said you went vegan for a while. And when we're talking about iron, we can get plenty of iron being vegan, but you really have to be very focused in it. So are you still vegan? How are you feeling about it? Let's just break into that for a second.
I got a little depleted.
Yeah.
I was very depleted being vegan.
Yeah.
I also am an O blood type, and I don't know, if you follow the blood
My
type
mom
diet.
did growing up. So I did the blood type when I was a kid.
That's so wild.
Yeah.
I craved animal protein, but I'm an 80-20, 80% plant-based, 20% animal. I'm so I'm an Aries. So I'm like, I'm a little high wired, as you could tell. And
my daughter is too.
Yes. And we're a little driven also. And I think the animal protein just grounds me, it just kind of
too. It's almost like she's a carnivore. And if she doesn't, then she kind of
it's not good.
Hangry. Yeah.
Yes. So I just try to watch the amount I eat, and the type I eat, but I feel there's a balance in everything. It's just, it's all I want to do for people is, get them back to the basics of, watching their sleep. Now I measure my sleep with an Aura ring, which is fabulous.
I just got one too. Yeah.
I know. Isn't that
not
great?
An ad for Aura, but I was actually nervous about it because I have a little kid sleeping in my bed, 2 little ones, but it's interesting because I actually see I get, the quality of my sleep, and I'm getting more than I actually thought I was. So
right. And then just, tuning into the fact that you can heal yourself, honoring who you are and knowing, I thought loving myself was an ego thing, but really loving myself was about healing myself and really honoring who I am. And also making sure that, I come first in the regard of that's the way I'm going to be able to be the best for anybody around me. We all talk about that, right? We all talk about put your oxygen mask on first, but we just don't do it as women.
Yeah.
I
we
just
do it
feel
for
like,
a day and then we're like, okay, back to it.
Exactly. We're so accustomed to the other. And I finally really worked on that. And that was life-changing. And that's when, I also have done plant journeys. Those have also been life-changing to really see what it's like to live in a calm state. Because I didn't know that either. I didn't know what calm felt like. And when I felt that, I was like, oh, this is heaven. So I could tap into that.
I think that's something too. I mean, in the future, I definitely have to work on. I've been on my own since I was 15 working to put food on the table. And so it's the same thing where you're I've lived in fight or flight for so long that sometimes you don't know how to rest. And it's a practice, but I still don't know that whole long-term kind of, it's those moments you get to yourself and you're like, I better find something to do. You really have to learn. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in a constant state of that.
Exactly. Or just at least, visit there or because I know that a lot of us don't even visit there, but to just try to work on visiting there, it makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
And eating real food, we don't eat enough vegetables. We just don't eat. We're focused on protein, vegetables
and let's get to your tips. Yeah. So, you have a book called Cancer Hacks, a holistic guide to overcoming your fears and healing cancer. So amazing. Can you tell us some of the methods that you have in this book or other things, hacks that you have? I'm sure this kind of goes with the Hashimotos and the celiac and all that as well to, lay the tips on us, please.
Well, ever since I was diagnosed, there was one juice place in LA. And I thank God I was close to it and used to walk there every day. And I started juicing. And I really think that did help me with my cancer diagnosis and healing. And I still, 30 years later, I'm still juicing. But these days,
you get so many more nutrients quickly.
Yes, you got it.
Yeah.
It goes right into the bloodstream, right into the cells. I don't juice any fruit. I don't juice carrots or beets, anything too sugary. But everything's greens. And I cut it with lemon and ginger. There's an incredible juicer out right now called Nama. I'm not a partner with them at all, but they're amazing.
How do you spell it? N-A-M-A?
N-A-M-A.
I'm actually looking for a new one. I've tried 3 and then I've had to resell them and say, you're on your own if you buy this. I'm not loving it though, but people bought them.
Well, thank God for that. I agree with you.
Yeah.
This one, you throw everything in, it's a cold press, and it's beautiful. So I think juicing is the key because we don't break down our food. Our guts aren't healthy, so we don't absorb the nutrients. So I think this is a liquid IV. Also, this is a really simple one. I was talking to a client the other day, and she doesn't drink any water during the day, like 8 ounces when she wakes up, and doesn't, and I'm like, hydration is so crucial. I mean, bottom line, we have an intracellular dehydration epidemic going on. So our cell, what that means is water isn't going into the cells. So we're drinking all this beautiful water at our fingertips, and
they can't power themselves. Yeah.
So I have this powder that I love, and also don't have a partnership with them either. And I don't know why, but Ultima Replenisher, it has these macro minerals in it. What I do is I dilute it like crazy because it has a little stevia, and I put a scoop in 32 ounces, and that is a lifesaver. I mean, it energizes you. It gives you mental clarity and lowers your cortisol levels. It curbs your appetite. It also increases motility. So,
and to kind of add in there too, because part of the reason of that kind of set my thyroid on a spin, my fertility, all of that, what you're saying is even though I was drinking water, I was dehydrated. I used to teach hot yoga all the time, starting in my 20s. And then I was just constantly teaching. And so you're sweating a lot. And as much as I was trying to replace that, sometimes the quality of our water isn't as good as we actually think it is. And I had Kangen water, all that. And so that was definitely part of it, where I really had to start replenishing just hydration.
Yeah.
Simple enough.
I mean, and also just getting it. Yeah. I try to achieve 96 ounces, which is a lot of water per day, but it is really a game changer because we need to have hydration to move also toxins through the body.
Say cleansing. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Guys, this is very inexpensive. It's very inexpensive.
It's very cheap. And that's the other thing that's huge is, going to the bathroom once a day is considered constipated, which is, I know people just look at me going, oh my God, I can't believe you're saying that, because after their coffee, they go and they're like, I'm good. But we're supposed to go 2 and 3 times a day. So that, that hydration is crucial for that. But that's the first line of detoxing the body. We are so toxic, and not to scare anybody, because the body knows how to pretty much eliminate toxins, but we need to go to the bathroom, and we can't be constipated, and we can't wait for days. That's another tip is that's your first line of defense of cleansing and detoxing. And magnesium, I think, is like a home run before bed, because that helps keep the motility up and digestion and all of that. So that's kind of crucial.
We hear this a lot too, actually, on the podcast, is the magnesium.
Magnesium has been a home run for my sleep as well. It's so beautiful. And I have some clients up to 1,000 milligrams of magnesium. So don't be afraid of taking more than what's on the bottle. Only thing that will happen is that you'll just have a loose stool. So that's another thing is really crucial. And then, just the fiber part of eating. That's why I love the cleanse. There is over 50 grams of fiber per day on this cleanse. And people are sort of they have never experienced that. And the fiber is really crucial for just removing toxins from the body and cleansing the body as well, and getting food through the small intestine. And I think that's, it's easy to get 30 grams of fiber, which is a minimum of what we need. So, all of these things don't cost a lot of money. They're just really, except for buying a juicer, but dehydrating yourself, eating more fiber, all of those things are really crucial.
Yeah. And I think that's important too, because, depending on where you're living, I feel like a lot of people have heard of juicing. Maybe there's a pressed juicery around, wherever, those kind of things. But what they forget, I'll see people pick it up here, moms that I know, and they're picking up their bag of juices, but then I see them drinking alcohol and eating burgers all day or something like that, right? That's not the fiber. So we still need, that's not the really healthy stuff throughout the day, right? It's not a balance, this for that. It's a full lifestyle where we need a little bit of it all, and we can have the burgers and we can have the wine and all that kind of stuff as well. But it's you have to think about the whole program.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit. Okay, so you have your soup cleanse. We've touched upon it a bit, and it truly encapsulates the whole concept of food as medicine. And SOUP stands for superfoods, organic, uniquely designed, and prepared with love, which I love as well. Why soups? And actually, your soup cleanse is much more than that. We've already discussed a little bit, but why soups too? Why do you love them so much?
It's
My
the
husband
same.
says they're not real food, and I love soups. They're like my favorite too.
Is that because he needs to chew in order to like
Yeah,
feel like he's
yeah.
having real food? I know. It's because it's like the juice, it's mostly pureed or it's very easy to digest.
Yeah.
And it, again, getting nutrients into those cells is really is my goal for people. And also helps with lowering inflammation. It has antioxidants, phytonutrients, all that good stuff in it. I mean, you can't get any better than a green juice and a soup for the day. Other than maybe a bone broth would be exceptional 3 things you could do for yourself to heal your gut. But yeah, we try to make the soups they all have protein. So they either have hemp seeds or they have white beans or, quinoa, or like they definitely have protein. They have fiber, and we try to make them as satiating, as filling as possible. But again, I think I want to bypass the digestive system as much as I can because our guts aren't healthy. And I work so hard on my gut, but it still doesn't, I probably don't absorb half of what I take in supplements or things like that. So, or what I eat, I don't think I really break it down and absorb the nutrients. So it's just, I'm trying. There's also about 50 plus different vegetables you're getting in 5 days, which is kind of unheard of.
And
as
you
well.
can't eat that much. I mean,
No.
you'd have so much, sorry, but gas, like
You
so
would.
much air, which would then slow your digestive processes, which would then slow everything else, that you're going through too. Make
Oh,
you moody,
yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
That's true.
So,
That is
yeah.
true. Just making it easy. I know what's fun about it is it's very small. It's in
Mhm.
LA. We deliver twice during the week, so it's super fresh. I am a massive foodie, so everything has to taste good. I taste everything before it goes out.
It's
And I'm
beautifully
always
stored too. It's really gorgeous.
in
Yeah.
the glass. And yeah, everyone always asks, are you going to go outside of LA? And it probably won't happen because I barely even, touch the LA market, but I don't think I could
Wellness
deliver it
investors, here we are.
I wish. The super seed bars do get shipped across the country.
Oh, wonderful. So
So
that's great for
yeah,
everybody here
yeah,
too. Yeah.
yeah.
What kind of super seed bars do you have?
They're quinoa and lots of seeds, and they're held together by coconut nectar and almond butter. So, there's also goji berries and just a lot of different hemp seeds,
Mhm.
puffed quinoa. So they're very light and
Favorite
fluffy,
stuff.
and yeah, they're frozen. So they're fresh
Yeah.
and frozen. That makes
Great.
them a
I was
little,
wondering. Yeah. That's amazing.
there's
Oh,
no
that's
shelf
so
life.
perfect. Yeah. No, and that's what I was wondering because it
Yeah.
didn't, but that's great that there's actually no shelf life. It's very
Yeah.
fresh.
It
Well,
can make it tricky shipping it across
yeah,
the country already.
yeah.
But
That's okay. It's worth it.
yeah,
Well, do you have any other tips to drop on us? I mean, it really can anything.
I know. Well,
We're here
I
for it.
actually am working on a new book called Pro Aging Hacks, because I
Ooh,
just did a
I would love
biological test on myself. And I came out at 51 years old. So
Oh
I
my
was so excited, the fact that maybe what I'm doing is actually working to turn back the biological clock. So I just want people to know that they can feel better. They can be healthier even after a health issue or multiple health issues, and they can really thrive and have a better, almost more fulfilling life
Yeah.
after even things that go wrong that they think they're never going to recover from. I just want them to know that, you can be better and really thrive in your life and get everything that you want. When
Mhm.
like we talked about earlier, when you're passionate about something, it's amazing how many cool things come your way and how many doors open up for
Yeah.
yourself.
And you've really too, I mean, you've changed not only the destiny for probably so many of your clients, but especially for your daughters, like you said in the beginning, where they don't feel like they're stepping into that same kind of genetic, and I almost say this emotionally, sometimes we carry the same genetic disposition, not
Yes.
even physical. Um, And that's so meaningful as well, to really just put that in its track and stop all of that too. That's beautiful.
Probably the best gift that came out of all of this, was to show them, what is possible.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I always want to like tear up and cry, because
I'm like hormonal because I'm so pregnant. I'm like, don't cry on the show.
I know.
But
I just feel so lucky, and they're
Yeah.
really proud of me. And I know, I didn't set out for that either, but the three of us are such a strong bond and unit after everything that's happened. And I've given them all these tools, and I'm not like worried about their future. That's the greatest
I
gift.
love that. Yeah. Isn't it amazing too, even just the emotional part of it? Like I've already taught my 1-year-old, 4-year-old how to meditate and take deep breaths and calm their emotions, things which I'm like, I know it wasn't my parents' fault, where they didn't really understand any of that kind of stuff. But I'm like, I'm so glad that they have these tools that they can come back to.
Yeah.
When they want to, when they
Right.
realize mom actually knows what she's talking about a little bit, but that'll be a while.
That might be a little while, right?
Yeah. Just
it took until the 20s.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's do a speed round. I don't always hit everything, but we'll hit a couple of them. Do you eat breakfast, or do you do intermittent fasting?
Intermittent fasting.
You love that. How many hours do you go?
16.
Yeah. But kind of listen to your body, or it's always 16?
No, just listen. I really do listen. Yeah.
Love it. This is actually, so when's the last time you eat at night?
Oh,
usually.
I don't like, I finish dinner about 8.
Oh yeah.
So
okay. Yeah, that's normal. So you probably go around about noon too in the afternoon then. When do you feel you're most beautiful?
Oh God, that's a good question. I would say after yoga.
Oh,
after a hot yoga. Mm-hmm.
I miss that.
I feel so grounded and just, yes.
What is your morning routine like to set the tone, since it sets the tone for your day?
Well, I wake up and have 16 ounces is mandatory when you wake up to rehydrate. So I also love coffee. So that's a little,
good to know.
I always have organic, but I do have a coffee, and then I have a green juice. Mm-hmm. So, and sometimes I put collagen powder in my green juice to kind of satiate me for a little bit longer, and also help with a little anti-aging, I hope.
Mm-hmm. And that's part of your intermittent fasting too, though. Then you wait. So that's what I do too. I have like our, like KO powder greens and our collagen actually together. It's like, yes, it kind of breaks your fast, but it's the whole point. Yeah, it's a little different. Exactly. Okay, one more question. Can you remember one simple change you made in your daily habits that made a huge difference for you?
Yes. I would, before I brushed my teeth, I would get up and meditate, just even for 5 minutes. I don't go for long because it's a little hard for me, but yeah, before I even get out of bed, I try to do a 5-10 minute meditation, and that has really changed my life.
Great. I love that, guys. If you hear that, it's so true. When I can get that in, even with my girls running circles around me, I was thinking this morning, I was like, I have to get back to that. They've been waking up early, and mom's sleeping in pregnant a little bit. Dad takes it, so we're missing it, but I have to get back to that as well. It really, 5 minutes, it's amazing. Changes your day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just listen to Jay Shetty on the Calm app, and you get, 7 minutes, I think it is.
Oh,
it's really beautiful. He does this 7-minute daily meditation that is just...
Maybe I need an app for my kid. She's got a lot of energy. Well, thank you so much, Elissa. You've taken the scariest diagnosis, even one of the scariest words, and turned it into a light for the world. I've learned so much from you today, but especially that we can redirect any path in our life with small but meaningful changes and maintain that positive direction. For all of those that tuned in today, she's actually providing her 7-day reset on her website, elissagoodman.com. Use the code KISS, like Keep It Simple Sexy, KISS, for a completely free reset guide. I would probably add on the bars to go with it, though.
Yes, yeah, I know.
Thank you. And I'm tuning in. I'm getting some of those soups right now as well. So
we'll hook you up. Totally.
Okay. Thank you, Elissa.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. I'd love to hear a review from you about today's episode and any extra questions you have for Elissa as well, so we can keep providing that content for you. Don't forget to check out the feed for plenty of wellness discounts. Have questions you need answered? Text me at 1-310-361-8697. Make sure you're following me on social at Christine Bullock, and have a healthy, happy week.